Hello! Welcome to episode 46 of the Just Happy to Be Here podcast. It's me, Tanner, and I'm just happy to be here. I'm not going to waste any more time. This is a big episode. It's a little bit longer than the usual ones, but that's because we have a special interview with friend of the podcast, Blake Brockman. Blake is a youth pastor, he's a friend, and he's also a YouTube creator. He makes hilarious and incredible videos on his YouTube channel for These Are My Thoughts. We're going to get into it about, 15 or 20 minutes into the episode. So stick around for the interview with Blake Brockman. Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Just Happy to Be Here podcast. So it is the last day of March. It's March 31st.
Yeah, sure is. Man, that's crazy.
I still have a hard time knowing how many days are in each month, and people are always like, well, you just do the thing with your hands or you sing the song. Yeah. And I've always been really bad with song lyrics, so it's not helpful. Yeah. So I always have to like, okay, I know that February doesn't have all the days, which is great because February is a terrible month.
Terrible.
But also, like, what about March? Is it 30 or is it 31? It's 31 days. So
31, and we're here.
Now that we've had this conversation, I'll never forget that March has 31 days. But
that's what tucked it home for you.
Yeah, it's beginning to happen though. Like March is it's almost April, which it's almost Easter. The sun is beginning to rise in more ways than one. That's a little Easter spoiler alert. But like this is one of my favorite times of the year. Yeah. It's spring. The sun is alive. I'm seeing clouds again. Flowers are blooming. I'm blooming. Everything is great. Like everything's fine. Everything's fine. It's hard to have a bad day when it's nice outside.
That's true.
Now, I can still do it. Don't put it past me.
Don't put it past me.
Don't put it past me. I can still have a bad day. But yeah, we did it, man. We made it through the month of March.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Hey, congratulations to you. Also, I'm really trying to suck this last couple weeks up because this is my last couple weeks of spring in my 20s.
That's right.
And then it's over.
It is.
No, I'm really not that pessimistic about turning 30 in 2 weeks, but I am turning 30 in 2. That's happening.
Turning 30 in 2 weeks. How do you feel about getting older?
Yeah, it's fortunately not something that has freaked me out. I feel okay about it. I don't think that it's something I spend a lot of time thinking about, honestly. It's just like, oh, yeah, okay, another one. I just kind of like, DJ Khaled my way through another one, and it's over. Yeah. And then we're on to, the Tuesday or whatever day comes after. I haven't even looked at the calendar. So, I've not given a lot of thought to it. I'm appreciative to the Lord that I'm still here. Just happy to be here. Absolutely. And that he, I think it is a good time and I've already been doing some of this, I think, but good time to look back at my 20s, and I look back and I see a lot of God's grace. I see a lot of stupidity and on my own part, and am thankful that the Lord redeems our time and continues to draw by His grace. Because I definitely. There's a lot of, and we've talked about this in the past, Tanner, but I feel like a lot of my 20s were spent bouncing around in a way that I wish I would have. There's some seasons that I look back on and just kind of wish I would have plugged in with more faithfulness and just learned kind of the gritty art of being faithful. But I at the same time, it's one of those things where it's like, well, if I could do that, I wouldn't need the grace of God, and He wouldn't be teaching me that faithfulness in His own time, which is perfect and according to His sovereignty and in a way that will result in his glory and my ultimate good. So there's that tension, you know, where it's like I look back and I'm like, whoa, man, I changed some things, and I'm thankful for other things. But it's a time, as I look towards 30, of kind of reflection, and I'm not afraid of the future, which I'm thankful for, and that's got to be a product of the Lord working through my 20s. So it's that kind of that managing that tension of I know these things happen, but I also know the grace of God was very present, and I'm very thankful for his work. So that's kind of, I guess, where my mind is.
No, that's good. And it's like looking back and being like, well, it was all for something, and it got me to where I am now, and I'm thankful for that. But then I think if you're anything like me, you're like, but if I would have just not done that, or if I would have been a little bit like more aware of what was going on. But you just, you know, I don't think it's a cop-out answer to say you just don't know what you don't know, and you know, good things. Thank God for grace, but also thank God for growth.
Absolutely.
Well, we're gonna have a big podcast celebration when you turn 30. We're gonna pour all the milk down the drain because you're no longer gonna be able to handle any kind of dairy, because that's what
that's already happening.
Oh, then you're good. You're good.
Oh,
man,
yeah.
like the moment I turned 30,
it
was like everything started going downhill. It was like, well, you can't eat that. And I couldn't eat a lot of things before, but now it's like, no, for sure, you can't eat that. Oh, you want to do squats? Can't do that. Your knees don't work anymore. Oh, you want to have back pain 24 hours a day? Here you go.
You got it.
You got it. Yep. You want to start forgetting things? Good. Boom. Done.
Gone.
I don't know how people live to be 95. We did a very adult thing the other day. We met with a financial planner, which didn't take too long because I'm a poet and there's not a lot of finances.
Wow, that was surprisingly short.
Anyways, you can visit patreon.com/writtentospeak. But we had the meeting, and I felt, very much like an adult while we were, doing this financial planning. And he basically was like laying things out and be like, okay, well, if you live until you're 95 years old. And I was like, let me stop you right there. There ain't no way that's happening. It's like he's like, well, you never know. And I was like, I'm pretty sure I do know. Like, I
kind of do.
Pretty confident. Like, I am, as an individual, I am not confident about a lot of things. I might pretend like I'm confident. I'm not. I have a lot of self-doubt. Not sure self-esteem has ever existed. No, it definitely didn't in middle school. But when it comes to this, I'm very confident I'm not making it until 95. So that was a weird part in the conversation, because he kept saying, well, let's just think like you are. And I was like, I'll be honest, you're going to have to change all these numbers up later on, because there's no way I'm making it to 95. And at 95, who's caring about finances? At that point,
man.
At that point, you're just like, show me the door. Show me the door. I'm walking through it. I don't need any more of this. Nope. Oof. My children are paying for it, or I have found somebody else to pay for it, or we're not going there. We're done with that. Anyways, today's March 31st.
Shut it down.
The last day of March, and we're ending the month with a real bang. And by a real bang, I mean these are honestly some duds of national days today. I'm gonna rattle off the list here.
Just rattle.
We've got National Little Red Wagon Day. All right.
Hey, what? That's great. What did you just say to me?
National Little Red Wagon Day.
Okay, that's what I thought you said, but wow. Okay, let's rattle.
We've got National Prom Day, which I believe a few episodes back it was National Promposal Day. So This feels fitting, but also. Gentlemen, you did not give them enough time to get ready for the prom or yourselves. So you should have been thinking about that months ago. Then we've got, now I have a hard time saying this word, so bear with me. Yep. National Crayon Day.
Yep.
Or, as I often say it, National Crown Day.
Crayon!
Now, we've got National Bunsen. We've got National Bunsen Burner Day. And in the words of Paris Hilton, that's hot.
Oh, man.
Two more. We're almost there.
Oh, goodness.
It's National Tater Day. Not National Potato Day. Not National Tater Tot Day. We've got National Tater Day.
Tater Day. Was there a description for that? Like, as to why it wouldn't be, more specified like one of the other two you just said?
I didn't click on it. I don't want to know.
Good call.
Now, this isn't a national day, but it's an appreciation day, and I can appreciate this. It's Manatee Appreciation Day. I'm for it. Manatee, the sea cows, my friend.
The cows of the sea.
The cows of the sea. So anyways, those are the national days. Is there one that you would like for us to elaborate on? And if not, I think we're okay. But if so, what's...
I just feel a little bit of duty to give a shout out here on Manatee Appreciation Day. Any VeggieTale watchers, any old ex-VeggieTale watchers will remember the Barbara Manatee song, and so you're welcome for that mention. If you don't know what I'm talking about, really no reason to start now.
Nope.
Just
unless you have children,
then maybe
perhaps
maybe dig into some VeggieTales, but
perhaps I can follow up Madame Blueberry.
Hey, yes, it's important to note that it's not National Blueberry Appreciation Day.
No,
it probably should be in the face of all these, but
worth celebrating. Yeah, National Bunsen Burner Day.
Yeah,
all right.
Come on.
We're letting anything have a national day.
This is what I'm talking about, man. At a certain point, how special are these days?
They're not. They aren't special. Like, it should be National It's Almost April Day. Like, that's what it should be.
Yeah,
that's what it should be.
For sure.
You know what? I think that we can submit for there to be a national day.
Absolutely.
So I really do think we need to figure it out. Today it could be like a National Just Happy to Be Here Day.
Yes. I mean, if Bunsen burners are getting a day, our podcast gets a day. That's just...
Taters got a day.
Taters. Yeah.
Not potatoes, not tater tots, not French fries.
Yeah.
Taters. Which is just... Can you say that word for me? Say tater.
Tater?
Doesn't it sound so weird?
Yeah, I don't like it.
That's a strange word.
I don't like it at all. I'm going to go ahead and say this, Tanner. If any one of our listeners, in the face of all these national days, would like to get a Just Happy to Be Here day, national day going, go ahead and just email us at writtentospeak@gmail.com, or just start a petition, and we'll likely sign it.
We will sign it. I'll sign it with as many names as I want. I'll write signed by Tater Olson. You just scribble it right on there. Just scribble it right on.
Yikes.
Today is a different kind of Just Happy to Be Here podcast episode. I got to sit down, and by sit down, I got to Zoom with good friend Blake Brockman. Now, Taylor, you've not met my buddy Blake before, but
I have not.
Blake worked with me at a camp in northern Wisconsin. We worked together at Camp Luther. I got to be his supervisor, and we had a blast working up there together. He was a fantastic counselor, and that was years ago. And so now he is actually a youth leader at a church in Antigo, Wisconsin. But he also has started creating YouTube videos.
Very nice.
And YouTube is this weird world that I think like our generation, like we just kind of like missed out on. Now I still watch videos on YouTube, but like if you talk to like a middle school student, like it's like all they watch. Like they don't know what MTV is. They know like like kids don't want to be astronauts anymore. They want to be YouTubers.
That's exactly right.
Which is fine. Like we all live our lives differently. I wanted to be in the NBA, which is about as far-fetched as becoming a YouTuber anyway. But my buddy Blake, and we talk about this in the interview, he just started making YouTube videos, and he's not YouTube famous. He's not gone viral. He doesn't have thousands and thousands of subscribers, but he makes videos and he enjoys making it. And I think a lot of times when especially like, on podcasts, people often bring in people who have large followings to boost their podcast so more people listen to it, and that's fine. Like, but I truly enjoy talking with people who are just passionate about what they do, and it's
absolutely
it's fun. So anyways, this is my interview with Blake Brockman. Taylor, I will talk to you. I'll talk to you next episode.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm looking forward to this interview. It's going to be fun.
Oh, me too. Just happy to be here.
Just happy to be here.
I'm still trying to figure out with the podcast, like how do I ease into the interview?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think that's one thing when talking about like creating something or starting something, it's very clunky at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And we can go back to some of your earlier YouTube videos, and I know that you have, and you've kind of like dissect, like you did one video on your channel, like your first time releasing something on YouTube. I forget the name of the video, but you kind of were like, you walked through it and you made fun of yourself.
Yeah.
And I believe you have a lot of gifts and a lot of talents. I think being your true authentic self is a gift that you have.
Thank you. I agree. I think so. I mean, I am not against laughing at myself. Like, sometimes in the moment it's hard, right? But I think that you need to be able to do that. Like, you need to be able to look back at things that you've done, especially in a digital age where, like, I posted that video for work, right? And it almost got me fired. And so, like, in the moment, that was terrifying. But, like, now that I have a full-time job, I don't have to worry about it anymore. It's like, oh yeah, let's look at this video where I look like I literally have a mop on my head. I'm wearing a gross, dirty flannel, a wolf shirt. Like,
hey, you sound pretty good to me, honestly. That's great. I feel like they should have given you a promotion for wearing that on YouTube.
No, yeah, that was fun. I was nervous. So that video, I was actually supposed to make a different video. And in the middle of it, I was like, this is awful. Like, this is dumb. And so I was like, I'm just going to play this video back from when I was in college, and I'm going to laugh at myself. And I don't know. I enjoy that. I think it's fun.
Do you remember a point in your life? Because I do, when I realized, oh, this is who I am as a human being. Like, this is me. And for as many times as I have tried to change it, because let's face it, when I realized that I was a poet and this is what I was going to do, I often wondered and prayed to God, are you sure? Like, did you get this wrong or did I get this wrong? Now, I mean, it's been, 10 years later and I'm still doing this and I really do enjoy it. But at first it was like, oh, this is kind of, I am a lot as an individual and I don't want to put that on other people, but apparently I'm going to. So when you kind of realized, oh, like this is kind of who I am as a person, did it take you a little while to kind of like step into that and to kind of put yourself out there?
I think, like, I realized that I was going to I come from a loud family. And so I always knew that I was going to have characteristics from that. And when I was in high school, I was loud and I liked to make jokes all the time. But then I think when I went to camp, when we worked at camp, when you were my boss, it was like that, it was really magnified for me that, like, okay, I felt a little self-conscious about it. Like, I was this big, tall, loud dude who doesn't smile much unless he's talking or laughing. like there are kids that walk past my office at work and they're like, oh, Mr. Brockman is a scary man. Because I just, like, I don't smile if I'm not talking.
Yeah.
And I don't know. So that was the first time where I was like, oh, this is who I am. And that's where I really struggled with it, was like, I am very quiet in a personal sense. Like, I have no problem sitting and listening to people. But, like, if you get me going, and, like, you give me the opportunity to tell jokes and, like, say funny things, I'm going to do it. And it's going to be loud. And occasionally it's going to be obnoxious. And I'm still not sure how I feel about that. Sometimes I get nervous that I put people off that way, but
yeah, I feel very similar in the same sense of like after I have an interaction with somebody, and I think this is quite normal for a lot of people, I wonder how they received that or how they took that. And apparently this feels very existential of what we're talking about. Like, when did you know that you were you? Which is just a very strange thing. And I think for you and I to have that kind of conversation just kind of feels off brand, but maybe here we are.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking into microphones. That's what it is. But I can remember meeting you. Like you mentioned, we met while working at Camp Luther in northern Wisconsin, and I got to be your boss at a time when I
Mm-hmm.
probably shouldn't have been a boss, but it's fine. We all made it. Most of us made it to the
Mm-hmm.
other side. But that was one of those times, and it's almost as if like you have these seasons, because you started working at camp you were what, 20, 21, 19?
I was 19. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you were 19 and I was about 24 or 25. And we both were kind of stepping into these brand new roles together. And I think you and I, we got to kind of walk somewhat catty corner to each other, but still moving forward in this direction, which is pretty cool to look back on. And I think that if you had told me then, hey, Blake is going to be putting these hilarious videos on YouTube, but he's also going to be working at a church as well. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that I would have been shocked by that. It seems very, what you're doing now, I look at you and it makes a lot of sense. So I want to talk about your YouTube channel.
Yeah.
I mean, we could talk about the fact that you do work at a church, which is important and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
very important to the world and to generations and to the future of the church and to the lives of people. But that would be boring. Let's talk about your YouTube channel. Now, your channel is called For These Are My Thoughts. Where did that name come from?
That name, like, this is going to be, it's going to sound really existential again, but that name truly does come from a place of therapy for me. Because working in the church is not always easy. And I work at my home church, Peace Lutheran in Antigua, Wisconsin. Great church, great community of people. I'm biased because it is my home church, it's where I was baptized, confirmed, eventually married. But at any church, it's not like, it isn't always roses, right? It's always a blessing, but there are challenges. And my first 2 years, there were a decent amount of challenges. And I started there when I was 21, 22. So it was like you mentioned, being a boss at a young age, right? Like, being in charge of things and being like the point person for that was really hard for me. And being the person to facilitate change was even harder for me. And I didn't know how to cope with all of that. And went through some pretty difficult seasons. And I don't want to talk too much about how I got the name necessarily, but the name For These Are My Thoughts comes from an email that I received that was not fun to read, but that's how the email ended. And I laughed. And I was like, oh, like, how weird. Like, in the moment, I was like, how weird that I can read this email that made me cry.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end, it was like, oh, that's funny. And it was funny to me because it wasn't like the to end something like that, like For These Are My Thoughts, it's not like grammatically correct and not very good like English.
Mm-hmm.
And it just made me laugh. My wife's an English teacher, so kind of nerdy that way. But when I was thinking of doing something creatively, and I was thinking of names, it was like, what would be something that makes people think it's going to be really like opinionated, but when they actually watch, it's just going to be a dude being kind of goofy and weird, and his opinions are really just like over the top and sarcastic, and like, because that's all it is. Like, the channel is certainly my thoughts, and like we taste things or play games and stuff, but it's really just like, the word thoughts is just like used in a super broad sense.
It's just me getting in front of the camera and saying to the world, this is who I am.
Yeah.
Please, won't you laugh and like and subscribe? So you kind of mentioned this a little bit, but talking a little bit about therapy and then coming out of, getting the name out of a not so wonderful email. When did you decide, and why did you decide, well, I think I'm just going to make a YouTube channel? Because I think in seasons like that, you could, trying to find something more, something outside of work, something a little bit healthier or different. You could have gone a lot of different directions. Why did you go down this route?
Yeah, I guess that starts even before, well, probably around the same time. So when I started, I was not married. Hannah and my wife, did not get married until after my second year in 2019, after my second year at Peace. And when I wasn't married, my day off has always been Friday at Peace. And so Fridays for me, when I was single, when we were dating, was wake up, clean the apartment, and watch TV. And especially in the wintertime, that's all I did. And then in the spring and fall and summer, it was clean, go golfing. I love golfing. And then go home and watch TV, right? And that was it. And that's not the worst thing, like especially in the spring and summer and fall, like to go and golf and like get some exercise is a great thing. But in Wisconsin, in northern Wisconsin, it is winter a lot.
It is mostly winter.
Yeah.
If somebody tells you, hey, this summer in northern Wisconsin, say, I don't know if that's true. I don't know. I mean, I made it through a couple of years up there, but my goodness, I don't think the rest of America knows. Hear this out, America. Northern Wisconsin can be a very dark place and cold place.
Yes.
However,
yes.
It can also be very beautiful, full of beautiful and wonderful and kind people, also cheese. But wow, you're talking about, the winter. When you were like, I woke up. I was like, wow, you woke up. That's a good start. Right. I wouldn't do that in the winter. Anyways, so sorry, continue.
So it was, for a while, it wasn't necessarily unhealthy, but it very soon became like very unhealthy, where like I wouldn't always go golfing, especially during those difficult seasons of work where it was like, man, I just need to veg out. Mm-hmm. And I think there are times and places for that, but once it becomes your hobby, that is not good. Right. And so when Hannah and I got married, it was the same thing where like Hannah teaches. And so she had school on Fridays and I was home alone. So I would wake up and I would clean the house and watch TV and, golf when, the Lord said, hey, it's going to be warm today. But so we were eating around the dinner table and I was just telling her, and it wasn't like the difficult season had gone, and there's always difficult, like smaller seasons, but like the really difficult season had passed. And we were having dinner one day and I was just like she asked me on a Friday, she's like, so what'd you do today? And I was like, I cleaned, and I watched TV. And she's like, oh, well, thank you for cleaning. She's like, but what, that's all you did is clean? And I think it was a nice day. Like it was a nice fall day. And she's like, that's all you did? And I was like, yeah. And she, in the kindest way, just looked at me and was like, Blake, I think you need to get a hobby. And I was like, ouch. But at the same time, I was like, you're right. Like I do need to have something to do. And so we talked about that for the next few weeks, and it was like she was really good, I think, about like, what would be something you would be interested in doing? Because I don't want to classify myself as a gamer, but I play video games. My friends from college play video games. And so we enjoy that together. But it was like, I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to spend my day off playing video games. And she was like, well, you're a creative guy. You're a funny guy. And I was like, yeah, I've always thought of doing a podcast. And so for These Are My Thoughts, initially started as a podcast. Like if you go back to the original videos, they're not actually videos. It's a still picture and it's audio. And I put it on YouTube because it was free to put it there. And then also people could comment. And I struggle personally with putting things out there that people can't critique me on or can't comment back and have some funny dialogue with.
Right.
And so that's where it kind of started, is needing a hobby. And then I told Hannah, I think I could do a podcast. I don't know if people would listen to it or watch it if you make it a video podcast. And she was like, okay. And then that Christmas, she bought me this desk that is in all the videos, the microphone I use, and eventually a light, and she's just been so supportive and so good. And enabling me. I've said that in a few videos, especially early on. Like my wife is the biggest enabler when it comes to my hobby. She tells me oh, are you going to record a video today and all that stuff. So
she's on it.
Oh yeah, she's on it. We
so she's your manager.
We jokingly say she's my manager and the creative director of For These Are My Thoughts, because I do a lot of things on my own. I come up with a lot of ideas on my own, but I'd certainly bounce them off her. Do you think that this is would you watch this? And sometimes she's like, no. I still make the video, but
Yeah. I know that's going to be one less view from inside of our household. Yeah. Do you think we should do Little Debbie versus Hostess taste test? Which, by the way, great video. I love that about, well, first of all, that you're open to receiving input from outside sources as to say, hey, you should consider doing this. And I think it's admirable to see that you want to give something back to the world, or give something to the world, or create because what your videos are is they're interactive, they're fun, and they're a little out of left field.
Yes.
Which I think also describes you as an individual. Interactive, fun, and a little bit out of left field, which is great because I feel like I'm in the same place as well. But I think it's fascinating that like you just kind of took this idea from your wife and you just started to run with it. And you've been at it now for a little over a year and a half.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
And
my first video went up in February of 2020. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think it's awesome because if you look back at what I've done, you look back at what any artist has done, the way that they start is not the way that it ends. Hopefully,
Right.
the way that they start is not the way that it ends. And for you to begin as like, I think I want to do a podcast. No, well, I kind of want to do a podcast, but I think I want to do videos. Well, but also I want to do this and I want to do this. And I think a lot of times like artists and creatives and people who just put things on the internet, they want to put themselves into a box, right?
Yeah. I think you have to let that transform naturally into what it's going to be. And like, I didn't think of making them videos until my friend John, was in a lot of videos for a long stretch. He was like, why don't you record them like on your iPad or on your phone and just put a video on it? Like, the audio is going to sound good. Why don't you just put a video? Who cares what the video looks like? And I was like,
right.
Oh, I guess I could do that. Like, make it more visually appealing and stuff, especially since it's on YouTube, a visual platform. But I don't know, putting something out there that is going to help people in difficult seasons and relax and laugh, even if it's just for 20 minutes. Like, I think that is so important.
And it's on YouTube, which means it's free.
Right.
I do think the difficult thing, at least something that I've experienced in all this is, and maybe you felt it too, is, and you did mention like opening up yourself to being critiqued, to being criticized. I am not somebody who enjoys that, but but I also understand that it's important if you want to create something better or something good. But I mean, I've recently had a couple of conversations with some people, and they were like, are you sure you want to do things the way that you're doing them? You know, like they would take something, and I was like, I don't really know, but like, you never know until you start or till you begin. And I think for a lot of people, there's this fear of like, well, what are people going to think? Or what are people going to say? Or I might get it wrong. So maybe I just shouldn't do it as well at all, because we do live in a world that is quite judgmental. And if you put something out there, or you say, for example, I'm going to start something, I'm going to call it Written to Speak. You're going to start something called For These Are My Thoughts. I don't know if you experienced this, but back in the day when I first started doing what I was doing, I had a lot of people begin to kind of slowly like pull back a little bit on their interactions with me and be like, oh, so you're doing that? That's the thing that you're doing? Why are you doing that? Are you just trying to be famous? Are you just trying? And it's like, no, I'm just trying to do the thing that I think I'm supposed to be doing. Did you run into any of that as well?
Not as much. I have certainly ran into people that are like, so what is it why do you do this? And then like, or they're like, what is your, like, I saw that you posted a YouTube video, like, well, what's it about? Why do you, and it's like, oh, it's just for fun. Like, for me, it's a form of therapy, and hopefully it provides therapy for someone else in the sense of just being able to relax. And they're just like, oh, right. And it's
have you tried reading a book?
Yeah, it's like, I have tried to read a book and I usually don't get far.
I've been on the same 25 books for the last 3 years. Stopped at chapter 3 on all of them. Yeah. Do you? Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it reminds me, when I was in high school, I took an AP English class where we had to like read classic books. Poor choice on my part. We had to read a book called Brave New World over the summer, and I did not get past the first page. I would try to read it after football workouts and basketball workouts in the afternoon, and I would just like read a few words and asleep, just gone.
Pretty good try.
Yeah.
This is very solid effort, though. I think like the teacher can't complain about that. Hey, I've read the first page numerous times. So at the time that we are talking, you have 172 subscribers on YouTube. Now, first of all, do you feel weird telling people, hey, you should subscribe to my YouTube channel?
Yes.
It
is one of the most uncomfortable asks. Like I have had to ask people to like give money in certain situations, and that's very uncomfortable.
Yes.
Like to be a 26-year-old dude asking someone to give money is weird. But asking someone to subscribe to my YouTube channel for some reason feels way weirder.
I feel like a 13-year-old every time I say it.
Yes.
And when I'm 31, and anytime I feel like I'm 13, I don't like that feeling at all. It's like when I have chicken nuggets I order chicken nuggets. And I'm like, I'd also like a side of ketchup. Thank you. And 35 napkins because I know I'm going to make a mess over these 8 little things. But I don't the same way, like when I say, hey, like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, like a piece of me dies, but I also know that it's important. And one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on this podcast and to talk about YouTube and all of that is a lot of people base their success and their growth off of a single number. And you have been diligent and faithful to creating videos. And I'm not even going to call it content because I hate when people, you create great content. You create videos and you put them out. And not only do you do that, but you're also like, you're sharing it. You're inviting people to watch it. You're putting up clips and you're putting out good things, but not a lot of people watch it. How do you handle that? And how does that like resonate with you?
There are a few things that like, I think especially initially it was like, let me just back up. Sorry that I'm stuttering so much, but
welcome to a podcast. We're supposed to interrupt each other, stutter, and then after we're done talking, we'll be like, "Oh, that's what I should have said."
Yeah. I never got into making videos to be famous. That has never been something that has appealed to me. Like the idea of being rich or famous has never been fun. It certainly crossed my mind. Like how it's almost, I think it's almost impossible to put things out like on the internet and not have at some point the thought of, oh, I could make money off this someday, but that is not the intent of making videos. I make it like selfishly, yes, for me, in terms of like, it's something for me to do on my Friday and Saturday and to have fun with my friends and my family and whatnot. And then hopefully other people can watch it. But in terms of like, because I have videos that like the 3 big videos you mentioned, one, the Hostess versus Little Debbie taste test has like 600 views, right? And someone might hear that, some kid might hear that and be like, 600 views, a big video, right? And it's like, yeah, for me, that is a big video. The biggest one is a Taco Bell versus Taco John's that is almost at 3,000, right? And it's like, to me, I look at those things and it's like, why is someone clicking on that? Like, why does someone find that I'm glad people do find it enjoyable, but like, those are things that go through my mind. Like, oh, you find this enjoyable? Okay, I guess I'll do it again. As much as my stomach hates this, I guess I'll do it again.
Yeah, you only have so long that you can be able to do these food challenge videos, because I'm telling you, man, once you hit that 30-year mark, like it does not matter. The second you turn 30, your body switches. And it's like, remember all the good things that you could eat and tolerate? No. Bread, it's going to kill you, right? Any kind of dipping sauce, it's going to hate your body. You're going to be rejected. Oh, you think you like fried foods? You don't anymore. Enjoy lettuce.
Yeah.
Enjoy lettuce. Do you like balsamic? You're having balsamic on everything. So anyways, get used to it. Sorry.
Yeah. No. And so like, I think initially when I was first trying to find out like what is going to catch the algorithm or like people's attention, that was hard. Like I thought that doing a BuzzFeed quiz and finding out what I have would be entertaining. It's not. And that was hard because it's like I spend hours doing this video, editing the video, and then like 25 people watch it. It's like, ooh, that hurts, right? But at the same time, it's like, oh, well, I had fun and it's in the past. So I don't have to worry about it. And like right now, it has been a lot of eating things, which like I do not want to just do. I do not want to be known as the dude that eats weird stuff, because it is difficult on the stomach.
Yep.
So like I have things like a series that I like to do is like fake or, where it's like I come up with fake things that I think are funny. Like we've done Faker Florida Man. I'm actually going to do Faker Jelly Bean on Easter Sunday. That's going to be the video with my stepbrother, where we're going to eat like if you get it wrong, you have to eat one of those gross jelly beans, right? Like playing games like that is not something that the algorithm catches, and I've just come to terms with it. Like I'm not going to have a video that's going to catch like fire probably, and that's fine with me, because it's not about getting famous. I think that people that are just trying to do something to become famous, I think that's the wrong idea. Like there's certainly people that do that and become famous. Like you could go on YouTube, click on the trending button, and you'll see a ton of people like that. But like I think that the most meaningful, if you want to use the word content, which I don't like that word either, but if you want to put the most meaningful something out there, it should be for someone else to either enjoy or relax, get away from the world, whatever. Or like in your case, find hope, find encouragement. Like it should not just be a one-way street, because I don't think that's how relationships work. And even though someone's just watching my video, it's still a relationship. Like they're getting
You're
to know
giving
a
them
side of
something.
me. Yeah, I'm giving them something, and they're giving me something back in terms of like validation of, oh yeah, this video has almost 3,000 views. Like that's a big validation point.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well, I think something that you're kind of, well, you're teaching people that are watching you is that you understand why you do what you do.
mhm.
Right. And I think that's extremely important when stepping into some sort of creative project or job or whatever. It's like, why are you doing this? And you said it very clearly, like, I'm not doing this to be famous. But I think one of the things that you are doing is this happens in your videos, is you're inviting your friends and your family into something fun. That you're showing people how to have fun and how not to take life so seriously, and like just to do something different. Like you're not, like you said, you're not sitting on the couch watching TV, but you're taking, like, this is something that you do to rest, to recharge, and to create something entertaining for so many people. You and we had a Twitter exchange a couple weeks ago, where I had just finished Zooming with a class, and they I mentioned to someone to follow me on, like I said, I have a YouTube channel or Instagram, and they looked at my account and they looked at how many followers I had, and they said, "Oh, you're a nobody," and it's quite hurtful. But at the same time, I told the kid, I was like, I know, but this is what I do. And so I don't, I mean, it's unfortunate that we have to put a number by something. But I mean, like I told you before we started recording, I love what you're doing. And I'm very proud of you for what you're putting out there, because I think you're, like I said, like you're giving people an example of what it looks like to understand your why and to spread hope in a way that is a little bit different than other people. Plus, you're hilarious. I do want to mention this one for a second. Ask how much of this has been inspired by Michael Gary Scott of The Office?
Oh man, I think like The Office and Parks and Rec in general are those are my two favorite TV shows. I don't have anything in my background, which no one can see on the podcast, but like my background is filled with like, there's a Packers pennant, there's Batman stuff, there's a sword, a poster from Written to Speak. And I have like other stuff that is in my work office, like at work at church. And I have a poster of Michael Scott where it says, you only miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott underneath. It's a poster of him with like he's like holding his face and stuff. And I have the Ron Swanson Pyramid of Greatness on the wall too. But it definitely does come from that. I'm a big fan of like situational awkward humor and saying things that is just going to get a reaction out of people. Like that is the one thing that Hannah probably dislikes the most about me is I do it to her. Like it is on all the time for me. Like someone says something funny, I am going to say something. Unless it's like I certainly like, I'm not like Michael Scott in the sense of I'm totally oblivious to situations. But like, if you're going to give me the opening, you're darn right. I'm going to bust that door open like Big Bird and say, what's up?
The ball is on the tee, and I'm swinging big.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, before you go, I have one more question to ask you, but can you tell people where they can find your channel?
Oh, yeah. If you head to YouTube, of course, you can type in
YouTube Media?
YouTube Media, youtube.com. You can go into the search bar and type "For These Are My Thoughts," or you can just type in the letters FTAMT, hit enter, and one of my videos is probably going to pop up, and you can watch it. And if you would consider subscribing, liking the video, be a friend, tell a friend, doing that whole thing. You can also check out For These Are My Thoughts. We have an Instagram page and a Facebook page where I post funny clips throughout the week and whatever. I also have a Twitter, personal Twitter, Blake Brockman 33. I'm not sure, but I mostly tweet in GIFs because I think that's funny, and I don't like that's something like. If there's one thing that we do recommendations on my channel at the end of every episode, and if I could recommend to people something, it's like if you find it funny, like. Don't overdo it, but like if you find something funny, you should do it. To it, like as long as it's not dangerous or illegal, right? Like,
yeah, please don't do those things.
Yeah, but like I post things, like I make videos that I think are going to be funny and entertaining. Like they're going to make me laugh, and there are times in videos where I make jokes and it makes me laugh, and it's really awkward for the person watching it, I'm sure, but it made me laugh. Like,
but it's the same thing with The Office. The same thing
happens. Yes.
Okay,
yes.
So before you go, we have to know what is something that you've recently Googled.
All right. So it goes back to like my channel, but the weirdest thing that I've recently Googled is the history of Frito-Lays, the chip company Frito-Lays, because I'm doing chip taste tests through March of different things. And I've done Flaming Hot and like regular Lay's, kind of like not regular Lay's, but like Lay's, Doritos, Fritos. They're all in the same company. I never knew that. And like I found out so many things by Googling the history of Frito-Lay, like that Doritos were not nacho cheese originally or taco. I always thought that taco was the original flavor of Doritos. It was just like a normal, like the way Doritos were made was old tortillas that you would use for like a taco. There was a Frito-Lay restaurant in the original Disneyland in California in 1955. And they sold like a Fritos taco where it was a taco and you put some Fritos chips in it. And the chef, use that term lightly, the chef at this restaurant hated that he had to throw out the day old tortillas. Like if you opened a pack and it didn't get used, you still had to throw it out the next day. And so he would take them and cut them into triangles and threw them in the fryer and just put salt on them. And that was the original Dorito. Like I would have never known that. I thought taco seasoning was the original because it comes in like a retro looking bag. Yeah. But like I would have never known that there are over 1,000 type of Flamin' Hot like product, not even just chip. Like they make Flamin' Hot mac and cheese now. It's like, what?
Well, why? Did you hear how the original story for the Flaming Hot Cheeto? It's amazing how I believe it was like a custodian who was working there. He basically created his own recipe for it, and now he showed it to somebody and he has worked his way.
He is not a janitor anymore.
No, he has janitors now, which is amazing. Yeah. Hey man, thanks so much for joining the podcast for a little bit. I do love what you do. Keep doing it because it really does matter. Everybody, make sure you go check out For These Are My Thoughts on YouTube. Blake, I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
I know. That was a long podcast. I would apologize, but I really enjoyed this episode. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure that you leave a 5-star review or just subscribe and follow along with the podcast. As always, we're super thankful that you would stop by and spend some time with us. We will see you again next week with episode 47 of the Just Happy to Be Here podcast. Have a good one.